Start with the Pledge of Allegiance, if y'all would please. Let's all rise. The flag is behind me. To the flag of the United States of America, and to the I want to take a brief minute. I think it's appropriate just because he's joined us here tonight, and this hospital would not be what it is today without his leadership. But the first CEO of West Jefferson Hospital, Mr. Dave Smith, is here with us.
Oh, man. I'll get you that hole. Good job. Thank you. Thank you,
Well, thank you, Dave Smith, for being here. I'll remind everybody that Dave hired me. He reminded me of that the first time we had a small disagreement. He stood in his way. He reminded me. Ever since then, it's been wonderful. Anyhow, remember, we want to keep this polite. The council's here to help us understand the concerns and the fears that we have about the pension. I'm going to run through some recommendations real quick, and I'm going to do the little thing adjusted that I did at the council so to bring you guys up to speed. Committee kind of grew and grew and grew. We'll start with Robin Eisman here, who helped myself and Wayne. Robin. Former ICU nurse here at West Jefferson, now in business for herself. Karen Guell, stand. Karen Guell, Marie Taggart. Special recognition. She's the voice of reason. Diane Saida. Tony Bergeron. Nurse. Spent 10 hours a week trying to keep me straight in the ER. Steve Brown behind us. Disaster manager. Just a great guy all around. We all know he helped this hospital grow. His paramedics are the best in the state, and we all know that. Mindy Glenn. I don't believe Mindy's able to make it tonight. Some serious health illnesses with her immediate family. And Roosevelt, not here anymore. Making big money, providing some lectures for some ocean people and daycare stuff, etc. Jennifer Steele, where you at? She reminded everybody in the audience just how beloved West Jeff is to all you people that have worked your entire lives here. And Patty Sims, where you at, Patty? Organizers and keeping these meetings of the organizers going. Also need to recognize Mr. Smith again. That's my favorite CEO. Now, but this is the one that hired me, so we got to go there. Dr. Cognier, appreciate you being here. Dr. Abundant, we really appreciate you being here. Wayne Rao, understand we have a councilman from Gretna in the house. Oh, you're back. You're not retired. You're like me. I forget. All right. Erie A. Bear. Right? Yeah. Miss Evelyn Lewis kept the two of you straight, huh? I wish Evelyn was here. Wouldn't y'all remember Evelyn? Yep. I understand she's sickly right now. If y'all think some silent prayers for Miss Evelyn, she was a wonderful woman. Evelyn Lewis? Oh, boy. All right. Start with, y'all know me. My name's Carrie. I'm a retired flight nurse from this place. I flew here for 25 years, worked in the ER for 25 years, retired, and came back because this is the hospital I love. This is home. You guys are family. You guys are my home. I'm back here. I'm part-time, but I'm working full-time hours and then some. Of course, I have opportunities elsewhere, but this is home. That's why I came back. I miss this place. All right. From the council, they've heard a lot of this at the council meeting. I'm here on behalf of myself. Some of the things I say you can attribute to me if y'all don't agree. Most of it I think you'll agree with. I'm here to help represent you 2,000 or so people that are 100% vested in the retirement plan for the employees of West Jeff Hospital, also known as Hospital Service District 1. There was some concern that the Record, the newspaper, printed something that Robin tells me was inaccurate. Just to clear things up, prior to 2003, we only had the defined benefits program here, the one we're talking about right now. Those of us who came to work here understood it as a contract. It was going to be my benefit. If I worked 25, 35, 40 years, I would earn a certain amount of retirement. After that, in 2003, West Jeff began to offer the defined benefit, not the defined benefits, but the contributory 403B, which just the employees contributed to. And then it's 2006 when the hospital elected to close the any admissions to the old defined benefits pension plan and offer you guys to enter the 403B with some matching funds as your savings for retirement. But the old pension plan was closed at that time, and those of us who were 100% vested and had more than 10 years in service, there are papers that came out that recommended we stay in that plan. Yep. And I know many of us chose to stay in that plan. Yep. Felt that was best for us. There are many employees still employed within the hospital. Who's still here over 25 years? 30-year people? Look at that. 35? 40? Look at that.
I don't think so.
How you doing? I'm getting older. 50 years?
We have 150 because I spoke to her.
Who's our 50-year employee? Remember?
Yeah.
Frankie. Man, Frankie Land, 50 years, and Mr. Abear with 70, I believe. Huh? Mr. Abear, Mr. Smith, with 70 years. He started when he was 18. All right. Now, I want to again say the 2,000 members of this retirement plan are doctors, nurses, RNs, LPNs, nursing assistants, maintenance, respiratory, medical secretaries, clerks, registration clerks, maintenance personnel, transport, information technology, laboratory techs, many others. If I've missed any of y'all, I'm sorry. Paramedics. When I had my heart attack, I called them. All of us signed on to work here, understood it was a contract for our employment with the parish council, and we expect that to be honored. We want that to be honored. It will, just like all other parish employees. I'd like to say, this hospital never closed its doors, did we?
No.
Not once. When Katrina hit, how many hospitals were there in this area? 27 to start. 3 remained open. We were one of those 3. The Continental Grain Elevator explosion was 77. Who was here that worked in the burn unit then? A bunch of y'all were still here. Still here. The burn unit was overloaded with burns from the grain elevator. Hurricane Katrina and Rita, West Jefferson. Steve Brown here became national hero in the eyes of the United States medical community, and the news media showed everything going on here. All of y'all across the country. You know, I've been on the speaker circuit. I work with the federal disaster teams from California to Vermont. They all know West Jefferson Medical Center as one of the most prepared hospitals for disaster. Every disaster team in the country, every federal disaster team in the country came through here during Katrina, out there that DMAT tent, 38 at the time, there's 52 now. Every single team rotated through there. So across the country, they know this place is the most prepared hospital. The Deepwater Horizon explosion with the BP oil spill, Steve, you were down in Grand Isle with our paramedics, weren't you?
Yep.
Take care of people down there from the explosion and the healthcare workers in the aftermath. Ebola, did that scare anybody? Yeah, it still scares me a little bit, even though I know more now. But you guys, you prepared for it. You set up the burn unit, turned it into an Ebola treatment unit. Best in the country, one of the best in the country. I've met with the CDC people. They said we couldn't do any better. I met with people at Emory University. They're the best in the country. They recognized us. Hey, nothing we would change. All right. Here, all of you that signed on dedicated your skills, your careers to this hospital and support this community. We made lives here, didn't we? We married here, some of us, or most of us. We've had our children here, raised our children here. We've bought homes here. Some of us have died here. Many of us are going to die in this parish. We're going to spend money until we do, aren't we? Well, we're here tonight with the council. You know, we continue to have these serious, deep concerns about this pension plan, how it's going to be funded. Collectively, we want you to know that I, and I hope you all support me, we believe that the pension plan should be 100% funded, and I'm going to throw out the recommendation that it come from the pension funds that were made or the pension should be funded with the lease money. And y'all correct me if I'm wrong in any points. As I understand, the parish council is going to receive roughly $200 million in lease. My understanding is the pension plan is approximately $113 million short from what some of the financial people have said that would be needed in the future to pay all the required allotments to all the retirees until we've all passed on. And I just think that a prudent thing would be to fund that pension plan 100% with these proceeds before funding anything else. The money's coming from the... So I would just ask you, I'll ask each of you if you can help clarify if any of these facts are wrong. We understand that you guys control the pension fund 100%. You're also responsible. There's no other body responsible for funding that fund as we understand it. We also understand that roughly $200 million is what y'all are going to get for the lease of the hospital. We also understand that the parish has netted approximately $10 million in additional income per year merely by leasing the hospital because, as I understand it, the hospital was losing roughly $10 million per year, which had to come out of y'all's general budget, if I'm correct. So I see that as an additional $10 million per year.
No, he said that's not right.
That's not?
It would have got that. But
It would have got to that point. It wasn't that high as yet?
Yeah.
Okay. And as I said, that's why we want correction. I just think here that the people here want to know if any of you councilmen, women, can go on the public record and tell us where you stand in the funding of this underfunded pension plan. This is our major concern here. If I'm wrong, anybody in here stand up or can speak differently, but I think that we're all here because we're concerned about this pension plan running dry and the council having to fund it 10 or 15 years from now when it's completely dry. I think it's going to be a lot harder thing for the council of the future to deal with. I'm going to ask Robin here to read this letter from Jennifer Van Dranken this afternoon. We received it. She was unable to make it. We appreciate the four of you who've come here on your time to talk to these people. Or Steve, would you take care of it?
Okay, we received this letter from Councilman Van Rankin. Councilwoman, I'm sorry, excuse me. West Jefferson Medical Center meeting. Members of the West Jefferson Medical Center community, I apologize for not being with you in person tonight due to a prior commitment in my district. I would like to say thank you. Thank you for your hard work and dedication in making WJMC a successful community hospital. You brought lives into this world, saved countless others, and did all you could to ensure your patients' comfort at their end. Your decision is what made West Jefferson Medical Center a treasure for Jefferson Parish. After devoting your career to West Jeff, I fully appreciate the expectation you and your co-workers have of enjoying a pension in your retirement years. Please know that every member of the Parish Council shares this expectation. I hope this evening will be a productive one. Thank you for taking the time to express your opinions. Please know that your thoughts are valued. Yours for a better Jefferson Parish, Jennifer Van Rankin.
Now, we'll ask council members, any one of y'all care to address any of these issues before we open the floor to questions from the audience? Hopefully, they can address the majority of this, but if anything is not addressed to y'all's satisfaction, we'll ask y'all, please pass out the card. We'll Everybody can ask the questions they want, but let's let each one of them have the opportunity to try to clarify for us what they can, okay?
Let me first thank everyone for being here this evening and try and give a picture about what led us to where we are at this point. Many of you all know, as we went through the lease process. Sure. As we went through the lease process, it was a difficult time for everybody. Okay, and really dictated based upon market conditions, which are beyond anyone's control, because this is going on all over the country. So, not looking back on or trying to address why we are where we are now as it relates to having to enter into the lease and what is occurred there, I really think, and I know in my mind, and I think my colleagues would agree, we didn't have any choice. And that's happening in St. Tammany, it's happening in St. Charles, it's happening in states all over the country. Independent, standalone hospital districts just cannot survive anymore. So with that said, there have been discussions for quite some time now about what is going to occur with the lease proceeds once the lease is finalized and the true-up period ends. And the true number as it relates to that of the latest, because it's a fluctuating number, it's not yet definitive, is about $120 million is the last that we were given information on. Meaning what the end proceeds were going to be. Now, to address the issue, Kerry, that you had brought up as it relates to the $10 million, the hospital over the course of about the last decade had averaged about a $10 million a year loss. Okay, that was being drawn down from proceeds that the hospital had made and income that the hospital had made and put away into reserve funds, so that when issues came about, that there were years where there were ordinary events, that money was there in order to be able to keep the facility running. So there would have been a point in time when that money would have been exhausted and that obligation could have fallen on the parish. Okay. I became a little concerned because, and one of my colleagues reminds me that there's 4 of us here, so we can't, under state law specifically, all of the state where we are on the issue. I think I made that kind of clear where I am, during the council meeting, and that position has not changed. I felt that there were enough discussions that were going on in executive session and information that we were hearing from our consultant that this needed to be relayed to you all so that your voices could be heard, so everyone could hear what the concerns were and be able to make a decision and understand that the decisions that we had to make and how that was going to impact you all. I can say, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for West Jefferson. I was an oncology patient here. I know I see many familiar faces in the audience. So there is a deep affinity in my heart for West Jefferson Medical Center. And I saw firsthand the work that goes on, what you all do, what has happened going back to Mr. Dave's days when Miss Evelyn Lewis was in her office. I used to have to call Miss Lewis for things many times. To many folks who have been here, come and gone, some faces that I haven't seen in quite some time that have moved on. But when you make a commitment to a group of people, I think you have to honor that commitment. And right now, some of the proposals that I'm hearing that the consultant's talking about opening free healthcare clinics, saying that there are 75,000 underinsured patients potentially on the West Bank that need health care, that we can use that money for those services and not fund the pension plan. Well, let me tell you, that's a drop in the bucket to what the need is, okay? And when you exhaust that money and the need continues, it's not really addressing anything. So, in the marketplace that we're in today, and every one of you all in this room have decisions you can make about what hospital you go work at or what facility you go work at. There is a demand for healthcare workers all across the spectrum. Now, if we want a mass exodus and want to see everybody hightail it out the door, the first thing we do is don't flog this to our employees. And and I'm happy to answer any questions. I know there were suggestions that this was an attempt to try and rile people up and tell people that things were going on that really weren't. We made sure you all got documentation to let you know that this was not some, you know what, an attempt to try and rile up a crowd. These are serious decisions that are being made, in executive session because of state law, behind closed doors, and I felt like you all needed to have a voice in that process. So,
thank you. Those of you who didn't know, I'm Councilman Ricky Template. I represent District 1 here in Jefferson Parish, from Gretna to Tarrytown all the way to Grand Isle, and most of you in this room. And I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart of staying here on the West Bank, working on the West Bank, and raising your families on the West Bank. I'm born and raised here, lived my whole life on the West Bank, and most of my family at one point has stayed in this hospital or was saved in this hospital. And I've always prayed that I would never open up my eyes. Heart disease runs in my family, and I see Wayne Rowell looking over. But no, this is great. I'll tell you, my support has been with my Jeffries and family. That's what we hear on the West Bank at this hospital. I've seen y'all through emergencies. I've seen y'all on daily visits. Years ago, I used to have an uncle that came here every day for breakfast. His name was Spike. And I don't know if Wayne, if you remember him, but he used to come over here, and this way he breakfast every morning. So if I wanted to see my great uncle, I'd have to come see him over here when you need a pocket change. I'd come see him here at West Jeff in the cafeteria in the morning. You know, we can't state how we are going to vote because we have council members up here today. But I will tell you, those of you in this room who were at the council meeting 2.5 weeks ago, and if anyone wants to mention what I said at that meeting, they're more than welcome to. But I took a stand at that last council meeting, and I will continue to take that same stand.
I'll be happy to share with y'all what Councilman Template went on record to say, that he, if any pension came up to a vote, he would vote to fully fund our pension. And also, so did Councilman Roberts, too.
So at any time, call on me. I have an open ear. Some things aren't always what we would want them to be, but the people in this room and the people here on the West Bank are what we need. And thank y'all for sticking through West Jeff and the West Bank in Jefferson Parish.
Do you want to would y'all like to say anything at all? Or do you? Yeah.
We got to watch what we
I understand. Yeah, guys, y'all that don't understand, I think it's like if there's 3 people, there's a sunshine law, where if there's 4, right? Is that what it is?
Yes,
Is this some? If there's 4, they can't state publicly.
We could actually have a council right now if it was
Right.
if it was creating votes for something with 4 of us. So amongst ourselves, we're not allowed to talk with more than 3 of us, because this is a majority of the council right here. So we have to be very careful with that. None of us want to violate any
We
ethics.
probably had the IG have somebody here tonight.
I'll be very careful. But certainly we can hear any question, any concern, and that's what I'm certainly here for. And I'll repeat many of the things that I talked about at the council meeting too, but I want to get to clarify some things that were said, just to get the numbers correct. It was a $200 million lease agreement that we did. We paid off many of the bonds after the lease was signed. So we're now working with $200 million in lease proceeds. We paid off, I think it was $130 million of bonds or something to clear the debt. And so now, as Councilman Roberts said, depending on, I guess, when we pull those funds down, my recollection was between about 110 million. Councilman Roberts says about 120 million. We're both certainly in the ballpark. Is this on me?
No.
It's not on.
And everyone knows Councilwoman Lee-Shang.
Councilman Lee-Shang, yes. At-large Division B, I'm the counterpart to Chris Roberts, who's your other at-large member. So I want to explain what we're dealing with behind the scenes, so you have factual information. When we were negotiating this lease, the liability that we were told going back maybe 2014 was around $30 million. By the time the lease closed, we were told the pension liability was $50 million. Shortly after lease closure, we were told, no, the liability is $57 million because we didn't calculate it, it wasn't on the books properly. And now we're looking at a pension liability of $126 million. Okay, so that's sort of a lot of the information we're getting behind the scenes. Why? The question I have, why? How are we off mark so much? How are the books so wrong from what you're telling us today? Couple things. First of all, the interest rates. 2008 interest rates, and if you read pension funds around the country, private, public, municipalities, New Orleans, fire department in New Orleans, are all dealing with the same thing. They estimated return rates at 7 or 8%, and then they take those numbers out for 30 years, and they kind of say, this is our liability. And when it doesn't come in that way, at 8%, and it's coming in much lower of what happened in 2008, the whole thing gets blown out the water. Okay, so that's how you can go from discussing a $30 million liability to a $126 million liability. Interest rates heavily fluctuate, change what the liability is. So that's some of what we're dealing with today. And then with the lease proceeds, just to let you know, and this is, the lease proceeds legally are supposed to be spent on community health care needs. We have put out a request legally to figure out, can we spend what we're allowed to spend on, if we want to do the pension, what are our options? And that is being done now. We don't have the answer to that yet. But our parish attorney requested an opinion from the Attorney General's office on that. Just to clear up some things that were said. And
And understand, we sit there and our heads spin in these meetings because we get numbers and numbers change and things of that nature. I think the total liability to the pension plan is 126.
yes,
However,
yes.
there is a portion of which the employees have already contributed.
No.
Yes.
No,
Yes.
the hospital has contributed, not the
Or,
employees.
or,
The hospital.
well, the hospital has contributed on behalf of the employee.
As an
What I'm
employee
saying is,
benefit.
The whole, there's not
No.
a 126.
It's 126 liability, you're right, it's 52 million in assets you have.
Correct. So there's,
So about 75 million unfunded.
correct. That, I just wanted to,
Yes.
I didn't want anyone to get the impression that there
No,
was
no, no, right.
not 100,
But that
that
number
the
can't
whole
change.
126 is
Every
good.
day.
Which,
Every day.
and let me add this as well, because, you know, this was a concern that I had as we went through the lease process. The longer that drug on, okay, the more people made decisions about whether or not they were going to stay or go. So when you look at the last few years of the utilization on the pension, you can clearly see, and I'm sure you all know a number of colleagues that made a decision and said, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and go. And there was a spike in people who enrolled in, began to withdraw. So there's a number of factors, the interest rates, were a factor, market conditions are a factor, but in addition to that too, because of the time that it took for this lease to get completed and the uncertainty that existed out there, some people were making decisions. Hey, you
I'm not
Steve, as an
talking yet.
example, that moved on, and that drew a spike in the withdrawals to come out. So, there are a number of factors that set that difference up as to what that number was.
All right, we're going to open the floor up to questions. Robin and I are going to run around. We have some pre-written questions, but we will get to everybody. Just be patient, put up your hand.
Just real quick, we recognize Ryan Brown back there, one of our favorite sons from West Jefferson. Now the director of EMS. Praise to where he's at.
Since it's supposed to be only 3 out here, I'm only giving 3 out. My name's Avery. Guy to David Smith. So I had to put up with that fire. He fired me a lot of times. So I know what Kerry's talking about. But he's a great man, and let me tell you, first of all, y'all are great people. I had the privilege of living here, of working here, and living here by the grace of God for 33 years. And I don't regret a minute of it because of y'all. What I did when I heard about this, I'm saying, why are we getting upset about this? I mean, West Jefferson's a great hospital. We had a lot of money in the bank. We had it funded. We were good managers, stewards of this money over the 57 years, for the most part, that I'm aware of. I left in 08, so I don't know what, I left in 08. I left in 2008, so I don't know what happened now. And not to throw fear at anybody, but this hospital was well funded. It was blessed to have good payers at that time. We was receiving reimbursements. We knew how to play the game to make sure that we got paid for what we did for the public, for the indigent, for everybody. We did a really good job, and I'm real proud of our efforts. In fact, when I retired, I swore I would never go work for another hospital because I did work for the best hospital ever. So I never go work. But what I did, I wrote some questions, and I don't want to be little with the questions, but I want to say a little, maybe like a little prayer to our leadership, because I think they need it to have a loss, okay? Because I don't want to throw any spears. They got a tough job. They got a tough job, and I don't want to throw any spear. I want to set the stage right. So let me just read what I said after I made some recommendations, and I'll say what my recommendations are real quick. But let's pray for our loving and merciful God to provide these leaders, including the board of directors and leadership of the hospital, the grace and wisdom and compassion to be fair and just on behalf of those who are currently serving or who have served the West Bank community through their talents and labor at West Jefferson over its past 57 years in April. Any further action towards underfunding and or modifying this West Jefferson pension plan's normal or past service costs would be morally wrong, unethical, unjustifiable from these loyal servants who may have already provided their best years of their life. And I know by the grace of God they will do the right thing. So may God bless all those who now serve the patients who seek care at West Jefferson with compassion and forgiveness towards anyone who may have played a role in this pension issue today. Through the Holy Spirit, we thank our Lord Jesus Christ for all his love, guidance, and mercy. This is submitted by me in prayer to all of y'all.
That's good.
Okay? And I'll let the questions come.
All right, the first question that we had pre-written, for those of you that were on the council when the LCMC lease was signed, How did you plan to fully fund the pension knowing that LCMC refused to take the liability of the existing pension?
I always thought that it would come out the proceeds. It's the same thing here.
I wasn't sure how we were gonna fund it. Still don't know how we're gonna fund it.
I don't recall any conversations about fully funding the pension. The pension service now is about $5 to $6 million a year. And I don't recall any discussions about fulfilling obligations 3 years from now in those discussions.
One more thing I'd like to say is that when this deal was being processed and moving forward, originally LCMC was going to take the pension plan. The last minute they changed their mind, didn't want it, and they gave it to us. But originally, Chris, am I right?
Yes.
Originally, LCMC was going to take the pension plan, and they changed their mind at the last minute, and they reduced our lease fee by $25 million too, because the original lease fee was $225. So I just want to let y'all know.
But that was before we signed.
Right, yeah. The last minute they changed it.
Why didn't you sign?
Here's another question. Looks like most pension funds in governments are unfunded liability ones. West Jefferson Parish and Service District employees should not have to worry about their pension future. How can you guys help?
Well, this is not a unique problem by any means. And actually, to the benefit of the consultant that was hired, who I don't necessarily agree with all the time, he has said that the pension plan here is in much better shape than what he has seen in other places. So, that being said, this is going to be something that every institution is going to have to address at some point. And the difference is that moving forward, my generation may never see a pension plan as was known and was existed before. And that's why you see things going to a 403B, if you're in government to 457, if you're in private sector to 401K. It's self-directed. You make the contribution. In some cases, the employer makes the match, and that's how they go forward. But yes, there is going to be, we're here to address West Jeff's issue tonight, and best I know, parochial's in pretty good shape as it relates to the parish, and also the Sheriff's Association is too. There are some states around this country that have over $1 billion in unfunded pension liability. And, Louisiana gets knocked for a lot of things. I don't believe ours is nearly that bad. But as it relates to West Jefferson's, we know what it is here, and we know that there are resources there to address it.
All right, next question is, based on your calculations, how many years do you think the pension has left to have benefits at its current rate?
Cynthia's the CPA, so we're going to let her.
I can tell you this much. One of the reasons the pension liability went up so much is the prior group, and I don't remember the name of them, who did the pension plan before, planned it out for a 20-year estimate, for a 30-year estimate. And Aon Hewitt, who is now doing it, pushed it out for 20 years. So that greatly does that number. But, it would be the youngest the person who lives the longest, right? Who is, that it's the actuarial figures that, and we have that data. I haven't studied it, but I can't tell you the average ages or, I do believe, I think 1,100 people have already drawn from the pension. I think there's about 900 people who have not. That's my ad. Does that sound right to you? Yes, something like that. So you're just looking at the age of that youngest person and then take them out through their lifetime. So.
Thank you.
We got a few more written questions. And
Let me add something to that.
With the 52 million.
And I want to let the folks that are here tonight know this so that you guys, at some point, it was the council's intention to begin to get this information out to you all. once you elect to begin drawing down on the pension, okay, you cannot change that, okay? Many corporations, whether it be hospitals or private corporations, as a matter of fact, I think Sears is going through it right now, will for a period of time come up with a situation and say, okay, we will allow employees to decide if they want to accept a buyout of their pension, where you can move it into what you want to move it into and begin investing it as you choose to invest it. The only reason I mention that tonight is this, is that if that is offered, which is one of the things that's being discussed, okay, we don't have many details right now, but if that ends up being offered and you've elected to begin taking the contributions out, you'll be excluded from that. So just something to keep in the back of your mind. Everybody's got their own decisions that they have to make personally. Everybody's got their own decisions that they have to make as it relates to their family things. But the point being made is that you don't want to potentially limit your options, and that's why I mentioned that.
Question was asked about how long you think the 53 million will last. It really depends on interest, because right now we're getting about $4.5 million on our money every year. So it's the investments we make, and it depends on interest. Like Cynthia mentioned earlier, it was 34 million, it was 50 million, it was 60, not 75 million. But it depends on the interest and how much our money's drawn. So we estimate 15 years, but it could be 20 years or 30 years. It depends on the interest. So it's hard for us to say how many years the 53 million is going to last.
I'm sorry if I misinterpreted that question. I agree with Councilman Johnston. So last year, if the people drew down their benefits, I think it was $6 million. So last year, the pension plan paid $6 million in benefits, and we're at $52.2 million in the account. So that you kind of know, if not $1 was put in it, you know how much it would go. And that's not our intention, not to put more money in it, but I'm just saying that's where we are.
So we're paying out about $6 million per year currently in.
About $6 million. You know the spread of the people. I don't know if $6 million is high, and at some point you start getting lower, as time goes on. So I don't know where we are on that curve.
But the
You had a
interest is
peak.
currently
There
going
was-
about $4.5 million per year.
There was a peak.
But last year, I think they told us we paid 4.3.
No, last year we paid.
See,
Yeah.
look, I don't want to, everybody can sit back right now and you look at the stock market, okay, and everybody's saying, okay, it's at 21,000. You would expect that there would be, the pension plan is very restricted on what it can be invested in, okay? Interest rates right now are at almost an all-time low, okay? So therefore, just like at the bank, if you put money into a passport or savings account and you're not getting paid anything, that's what's going on with bonds right now. So that is what partially has created the issue where the pension plan has not generated the revenue that it's generated in the past. So as interest rates go up, which they just went up for the first time in several years, and I don't know how quickly they're going to move that, then I would expect that we certainly will get a higher rate of return. And likely the reason that the market's so high, the stock market's so high, is because everybody's got their money in the stock market because they don't have it sitting in the bank making no money right now. So that's, the balance on that. So really it depends on what you would anticipate that interest rates will continue to rise just based upon the news that you're hearing about the economy and unemployment and other things, and that's how they control inflation. So when the interest rates come up, the pension plan itself will generate more revenue.
If you have a question, raise your hand. After Robin does this question, I'm going to try to get around as many people as we can. Robin.
Okay, here's one. I'm too old to start over. That's a question, right? Come on. Yes, I am too old to start over. I'm closer to retirement than so as a senior citizen, I'm counting on my pension here. I was promised it as a benefit. Please help others understand this. Could bankrupt families with all access to Jefferson Parish. Across, I'm sorry. Across Jefferson Parish.
I had to rewrite that for you.
She rewrote it.
No, that wasn't mine. I rewrote it because she couldn't understand it.
Yeah.
She can't understand my writing either.
No, I'm sorry. So this could, So please help others understand this could bankrupt families all across Jefferson Parish.
All right, we have a question.
I understand, I think most of us understand the market and how the interest rate fluctuates, so we don't need to be told that. But what I was wondering is when the hospital agreed to this lease, and at the last minute, LCMC said, oh, well, we're not funding the pension plan, how come nobody thought about all of us who were in this agreement and addressing it to everyone, to the hospital employees? Let us know what's going on. I don't understand. We're talking about, we want to know what's going to be done from now on.
Well, first of all, the decision that's on the table right now is that there are proceeds from the lease, okay, is where it's spent. All right, so to say no one was concerned about the retirement, I don't think we got to that. It was always expected, at least in my mind, that the obligation would be met by the proceeds, okay? There are a number of factors that contributed to negotiations as it relates to LCMC. Some of which was the amount of time that it took to be able to get the transaction done, how much more money over those 2 years, from an operational standpoint, lost. So there were a lot of factors that drew into what the negotiations were in the end. And we have an obligation, all four of us here, too, to address the situation at East Jeff, okay? And folks, it's no better. Actually, they're in a worse situation right now. So when you sit and it's not because of anything that they're particularly doing at the hospital, as much as how much reimbursements have changed over the years. They've got Ochsner right at their back door. There are a lot of factors. We didn't have Ochsner to deal with on the West Bank for a number of years, okay? And we may have some former tenant employees here tonight, and I don't offend anyone. But it was a competition, okay, in comparison in many regards. And West Jeff thrived as a result of that for many, many years. But I want to say and get the point across that the situation could be much worse than where we are now, okay? And it's not, this is not unique. I know you all, some of you all work with Patty Ellish, okay? Miss Patty, she was a neighbor of mine. And when she heard about this, she's been running St. Tammany Hospital now for 15 years, okay? They are seeing the same problems there. They're now part of the Ochsner network, okay? So St. Tammany's not even standing out there alone. Neither is St. Charles, and I don't know about TGMC, but I think they may have done a deal with Ochsner too, if I'm not mistaken. So it's an entire change in the marketplace that's created this. And I just want to get that point across because all of us have a commitment to you guys, and we have a commitment to East Jeff too. And unfortunately, the circumstances and the dynamics there are very difficult because of players in the market. Is there another question there, Steve?
Yes. Mr. Roberts, can you tell me when this closed-door meeting on behalf of all these hard-working people for many years, can you tell us when this closed-door place, and also when will we hear the results of it?
Sure, that's a good question. We meet typically every other Wednesday, and we have traditionally, when I say closed-door meeting, it's executive session, okay? And the reason for that is, folks, is because West Jeff is a business, okay? So if we sat out in public and discussed all of the business of West Jeff, then all of your competitors would know all of your business, which, you know, we certainly don't want to happen. So what we're waiting on right now is that we have hired a national accounting firm that is handling the true-up period. And the true-up period, when you determine, it's almost like a washout sheet, closing sheet when you go to buy a house. You know, what the seller owes, what the purchaser owes, and you know, what that bottom line comes to. That's what we're waiting on right now. And we're being told in the next 30 days or so, we should have a better idea. So from that point, the council will then be able to make a decision if they were to use, you know, those proceeds to make the pension plan whole.
And if I might add to that, there will not be a vote on this unless done in public, just to let you know as well. So you will be made aware of this, you put it on, and be able to make your opinion. There will not be a vote on in executive session.
I just want to clarify that because that's been a big question passed around. Anything discussed in executive session between the council persons can happen, but in order for it to happen, that's under law, a resolution be made, and you vote on a resolution.
That's absolutely correct. So you will know when we go to vote on this. There has been no votes on this whatsoever, but you will know, and we'll make sure that the hospital of West Jeff and the citizens know to come out and be able to speak on this and see when we take a vote on this.
Ricky, correct me if I'm wrong, I think as you say that, when y'all are in executive session, y'all come out and there's going to be a vote on the floor. I believe y'all have to publish it and put off some time for public opinion to come back, is that correct?
Yes. Well, there could be a resolution brought from the floor, but I think this issue, so we would make sure it was published and people could come and speak.
Right.
Okay.
So we have another question from the floor.
If I could add to that, I know you hear about closed doors. We go behind closed doors to discuss litigation as well. It's like Councilman Roberts says, we're not going to go out and tell our opposing people who are suing us our strategy. It's just you as taxpayers want us to do this behind closed doors. None of us here are interested in doing anything fast, anything quick. You're going to know everything that's going on. If we do a buyout, which we need to still do research, I'm sure there'll be separate meetings. You're not going to have to make a decision in council meeting and figure out what number it is and hurry up. There'll be separate meetings for buyout, right? I would,
have to discuss it.
get you. Yeah, I mean, if that kind of information, I'm sure there'll be separate meetings here or somewhere else for you to make your own personal decisions as to whether that's right for you and your family. So when we did this lease, these were community health care proceeds. Many groups are interested in how we spend these proceeds. So I'm not interested in doing anything, and neither of us are. This is a lot of money we're talking about, $110 million. And I think there'll be a plan. I think the media will cover it. I think you all will be an active voice in that. And so I don't want there to be any concern that something's going to happen behind closed doors and you're going to miss it because you went to the bathroom and, you know, it affects your livelihood. Okay?
So any idea on the timeline, what we're talking about time-wise as far as, because I'm sure a lot of people are nervous and they're going to want to start taking their retirement.
As Councilman Roberts says, I think if in the next week you could draw down the benefits, you just want to stay in touch with us to keep options open so you make a good decision.
So time-wise, say for the buyout or whatever, what are we looking at so that people don't rush to go?
Can we get her a mic? People back in can't hear her.
Yeah.
How much longer?
I think 90 days.
We're going to try to go within 90 days. We're going to try to, we'll stay in touch with you and see, you know, we have to consult with our attorneys and how that looks like. People who do these buyouts, they know legally what we have to do, and we'll kind of rate you off so that you're going to have full information. We'll have those folks here to answer questions about it, so you can ask all the kind of questions you need. And that's, you know, none of us here want any of you to feel uncomfortable with, you're not going to have the information you need. Okay?
And I suggest to check the Jefferson Parish website for the council meetings, and they have the agendas published. So if any of y'all see that anything's coming up for vote, That's not like on social media or anything, that's a way to check it or call.
So, is that the only way we get information about what's going on by
What
social
about-
media?
No.
Because the only way, I got word of mouth about this.
Right.
We done got no information. I think the employees should have had some,
Can we get a reminder?
a letter or something to tell us what's going on.
I would take, I don't want anyone to get confused because every council agenda that comes out, we have executive session on there about the hospitals. Okay, so people could see that and assume, okay, this is when there's gonna be a vote on pension, okay? I'm telling you that I will make a commitment to you that when we know that issue is gonna be voted on, we will make sure that the hospital knows, we will ask them to email it out to you all. If it's the retirees, then what I would suggest, if you're not directly in communicating with hospitals, make sure, I think, Carrie, didn't you guys create a page or something?
We had a sign-in sheet tonight. If you put your information on there, we're gonna put that in a database, and we're gonna be in contact with every person who signed in tonight for every step of this process. So if you didn't sign in, make sure you did on the sign-up pages in the back.
But then some people don't have emails, so will it be mailed out?
We have no way of contacting people that are in the pension. We contacted all these people, through people that work with them, through Facebook.
Here,
Okay. We contacted everybody through Facebook, word of mouth, employees that still work at the hospital. Where can we get a list of all the people in the pension? Because there's people I know out of town that knew nothing about this.
Correct.
We will, we'll request a copy from Aon, and in that case, we'll initiate a letter and make sure that it goes out.
And folks, I think legally, I don't know legal, but I would think if the plan is gonna offer a buyout, it has to get approved by somebody and official notice has to get mailed out. I'm just saying, that's how these legal things work and.
But I know when they sent out the letter a few months ago that to go online to Aon Hewitt to set up an account. People that.
Can't hear you, Patty.
All right. Okay, when they sent out a letter last October or November, somewhere, about Aon Hewitt to set up an account to go online and see what you even had in the pension. People that were in the pension did not receive the letter. How many people in this room received that letter?
Probably nobody.
So people do not even know what's going on. I know people that live out of town, that their names have changed or different things, but I mean, still, all these people, and some are even hospital employees currently, and they don't even have passwords to get into Aon Hewitt.
they sent a pass.
Because you have to get the temporary code from them to set up an account.
We will have them at an executive session, we'll raise that point, make sure that they. The other thing I would encourage too is that if you know of retirees that have not yet begun to draw down, unfortunately,